Have you ever craved an adventure so authentic that it feels like you've stepped back in time? A place where eagles still hunt with nomads, where ancient traditions thrive beneath snow-capped mountains that stretch endlessly into powder blue skies, where strangers welcome you into their yurts with warm bread and stories. This is Kyrgyzstan, the country most travelers overlook, but those who visit never forget. Nestled in the heart of Central Asia, this rugged paradise remains one of the world's last truly untamed destinations. Today, we are journeying through Kyrgyzstan's most spectacular landscapes and revealing the hidden gems that make this country a paradise for adventurers, nature lovers, and cultural explorers alike. From crystal-clear alpine lakes to sweeping valleys where nomadic traditions continue as they have for centuries, Kyrgyzstan offers experiences you simply cannot find anywhere else on Earth. By the end of this voyage, you will understand why this small nation is quickly becoming the favorite secret of world travelers seeking authentic experiences away from the crowds. You will discover not just where to go, but how to truly experience the soul of this remarkable country. This is not your typical tourist destination. This is Kyrgyzstan, wild, authentic, and waiting to be discovered. Every great journey needs a starting point, and for most travelers exploring Kyrgyzstan, that place is Bishkek. The capital city sits in a valley framed by the magnificent Tian Shan mountains, offering your first glimpse of the natural beauty that defines this country. Bishkek surprises many visitors with its wide, tree-lined boulevards and distinctly Soviet architecture contrasted against the backdrop of towering mountains. But do not mistake Bishkek for just another post-Soviet capital. This city pulses with an energy that comes from blending its nomadic heritage with modern influences. Begin your exploration at Alatu Square, the heart of the city where locals gather throughout the day. Time your visit to witness the changing of the guards, a ceremonial display that happens every hour. From here, walk to the impressive State Historical Museum, where you can gain crucial context about Kyrgyz history and culture before venturing into the countryside. For a taste of local life, nothing beats Osh Bazaar. This sprawling market has remained largely unchanged for centuries. Navigate through corridors lined with spices, traditional textiles, and handcrafted items. The aroma of fresh bread and sizzling street food fills the air as vendors call out their offerings. This is the perfect place to sample traditional foods like bishbarmak, a hearty noodle dish with meat, or kumis, fermented mare's milk that nomads have consumed for thousands of years. As evening approaches, make your way to Oak Park, where locals gather to play chess, stroll among Soviet-era sculptures, or simply enjoy the cool mountain air. Nearby, you will find countless tea houses where you can sip endless cups of tea while watching the city transition from day to night. What makes Bishkek special is not grand tourist attractions, but rather its role as a living museum, where Soviet history, Asian influences, and nomadic traditions blend seamlessly. The city offers a gentle introduction to Kyrgyz culture before you venture into the more rugged and remote regions that have made this country famous among adventure travelers. Before leaving Bishkek, make sure to visit the Sum department store to purchase any last-minute supplies. Despite its modernization, many parts of Kyrgyzstan remain refreshingly disconnected from the outside world, making preparation essential before heading into the mountains. But as interesting as Bishkek may be, it merely hints at the natural wonders that await beyond the city limits. Just a few hours' drive east lies a body of water so magnificent that ancient Chinese travelers once called it the Pearl of Central Asia, a place where the water shifts between shades of sapphire and turquoise depending on the light, and where some of Kyrgyzstan's most breathtaking experiences await those willing to explore its shores. What secrets does this ancient lake hold? Let's find out. Imagine a vast expanse of crystal-clear water surrounded by snow-capped mountains, a lake so large it creates its own microclimate. This is Issyk-Kul, the second largest alpine lake in the world after Lake Titicaca. Its name translates to warm lake in the Kyrgyz language, a reference to the fact that despite its high elevation, this magnificent body of water never freezes, even during the harshest winter months. As you approach the lake, the landscape transforms dramatically. The arid steppes give way to lush shorelines, and the massive Tian Shan mountains provide a stunning backdrop that seems almost too perfect to be real. The immensity of Issyk-Kul is difficult to comprehend until you stand on its shores. At 113 miles long and up to 37 miles wide, it often feels more like an inland sea than a lake. The northern shore is dotted with resort towns like Chelek, where locals and visitors from neighboring countries come to enjoy the surprisingly pleasant waters during summer months. Here you can lounge on sandy beaches or take a refreshing swim while gazing at snow-covered peaks in the distance. This striking contrast between warm waters and alpine scenery creates an experience unlike any other swimming destination on Earth. But venture to the south shore, and you will discover a completely different world. Here, traditional villages cling to the lakeside, and the tourist infrastructure fades away. In towns like Bokenbevo, you can witness eagle hunting demonstrations, an ancient practice where trained golden eagles hunt with their human partners in a remarkable display of interspecies cooperation that has been maintained for over 1,000 years. One of Issyk-Kul's most fascinating features lies beneath its surface. The lake was once a key stop on the ancient Silk Road, and as trade routes shifted over the centuries, entire settlements were swallowed by rising waters. Local legends speak of a lost city beneath the waves, and remarkably, archaeological expeditions have discovered the remains of ancient structures dating back to the 2nd century BCE. For the most spectacular views of Issyk-Kul, make the journey to Jetty Oguz, known as the Seven Bulls, for its distinctive red sandstone formations. From this vantage point, the full grandeur of the lake comes into view, stretching like an endless blue mirror, reflecting the surrounding mountains. As magical as Issyk-Kul is, perhaps its greatest secret is hidden in plain sight. Among these shorelines roams a man whose connection to the wild runs so deep that he has been called the modern-day Mowgli. His extraordinary relationship with the region's wildlife has drawn documentary filmmakers from around the world, but his story pales in comparison to what awaits in our next destination, a wilderness so pristine that it has been called the Switzerland of Kyrgyzstan. What treasures lie within this alpine paradise, just a short journey from the lake? That's where our adventure continues. Just 40 kilometers south of Bishkek lies a natural wonderland that feels worlds away from city life. Archa National Park serves as Kyrgyzstan's outdoor playground, where jagged peaks scrape the sky and glacial streams cut through valleys, carpeted with wildflowers during the brief but spectacular summer months. The name Archa means bright juniper in Kyrgyz, referring to the aromatic trees that dot the lower elevations of the park. As you enter this protected area, the transformation is immediate. The air becomes noticeably crisper, filled with the scent of pine and wild herbs. Even the sound changes, with the constant background noise of the city replaced by the soothing rhythm of rushing water and the whisper of wind through alpine meadows. What makes Archa truly special is its accessibility combined with its wild character. Unlike many wilderness areas that require days of trekking to reach, here you can drive directly to the heart of the mountains and immediately find yourself surrounded by peaks exceeding 4,000 meters. This rare combination makes it possible to experience true high alpine environments without extensive wilderness experience. The park offers options for every level of adventurer. For casual visitors, easy walking paths follow the main river, offering spectacular views with minimal effort. Those seeking more challenge can attempt the popular hike to Archa waterfall, a moderate 3-hour round trip that rewards with thundering cascades fed by ancient glaciers above. For experienced mountaineers, Archa represents hallowed ground. The imposing peak corona, with its distinctive crown-like summit, has challenged climbers for generations. Even more impressive is Peak Svobodnaya Korea, whose nearly vertical north face presents one of Central Asia's most formidable mountaineering challenges. Wildlife enthusiasts should keep their eyes trained on the skies and rocky slopes. The elusive snow leopard still roams these mountains, though sightings are extremely rare. More commonly spotted are massive golden eagles riding thermal currents, marmots sunning themselves on rocks, and if you're lucky, the magnificent Marco Polo sheep with their spectacular curved horns. But perhaps the most magical experience in Archa comes with changing seasons. Visit in late spring when alpine meadows explode with wildflowers in a riot of colors, or come in autumn when the forests turn brilliant shades of orange and gold against the backdrop of the season's first snow on the peaks above. As you stand below these towering mountains, breathing air so pure it almost hurts your lungs, it becomes clear why the Kyrgyz people have such a profound connection to their natural environment. For thousands of years, these mountains have shaped their culture, traditions, and identity. Yet despite its grandeur, Archa only hints at Kyrgyzstan's natural diversity. Further south lies a place where the modern world seems to disappear entirely, where nomadic families still live as their ancestors did centuries ago, moving their yurts and livestock with the changing seasons. A place where, on clear nights, the stars reflect so perfectly in pristine waters that it becomes impossible to tell where the lake ends and the heavens begin. What secrets does this remote alpine lake hold, and what is it like to experience life among the last true nomads of Central Asia? The answer awaits in our next destination. At 3,116 meters above sea level, Song Kol Lake exists in a world apart from ordinary life. Reaching this alpine jewel requires traversing mountain passes that cut through clouds and navigating roads that seem to lead to the very edge of the world. But those who make the journey are rewarded with a glimpse into a way of life that has remained largely unchanged for centuries. Song Kol differs from Issyk-Kul in almost every way. While Issyk-Kul is vast and ancient, Song Kol is compact and intimate, nestled in a high mountain valley completely surrounded by rolling pasture land, known locally as Jyrgalan. These summer pastures have sustained Kyrgyz nomads and their herds for generations, providing rich grazing during the brief warm months before winter reclaims the highlands. Arriving at Song Kol feels like stepping into another time. The lake's surface mirrors the immense sky above, creating a continuous canvas of blue broken only by the occasional silhouette of a horseman crossing the horizon. The absence of permanent structures, save for a scattering of traditional yurts, preserves a landscape that would be recognizable to travelers from centuries past. The true magic of Song Kol lies not just in its natural beauty, but in the opportunity to experience authentic, nomadic hospitality. During summer months, local families establish seasonal yurt camps around the lake, welcoming travelers to experience their traditional way of life. Spending a night in a yurt is an essential Kyrgyz experience, with thick wool walls insulating against the mountain chill and a central opening revealing a perfect circle of stars overhead. Meals with nomadic families showcase the practical cuisine developed for highland life. Fresh bread baked in improvised ovens pairs with kumis, the slightly alcoholic fermented mare's milk that has sustained Central Asian nomads for millennia. The preparation of this distinctive drink remains an essential skill passed down through generations, with families collecting and fermenting milk from their mares each day. Dawn at Song Kol presents one of nature's great spectacles. As first light breaks over the eastern mountains, the perfectly still lake surface transforms into a mirror of gold and crimson. In these early hours, local herders begin their daily work, moving sheep, horses, and yaks across the landscape in patterns unchanged for centuries. For visitors willing to embrace local customs, horseback remains the ideal way to explore the lake's perimeter. Local guides can arrange traditional Kyrgyz saddles and sturdy mountain horses accustomed to the terrain. These rides often include demonstrations of ulak tartish, a traditional nomadic sport similar to polo but played with a goat carcass, showcasing the remarkable horsemanship central to Kyrgyz identity. As evening approaches and temperatures drop, the yurt's central stove becomes the heart of social life. Here, under the soft glow of lanterns, nomadic families share ancient legends of the mountains, stories of epic heroes like Manas, whose exploits form the world's longest epic poem, and traditional songs accompanied by the komus, a three-stringed instrument whose haunting melodies seem perfectly matched to the vastness of the landscape. But Song Kol's idyllic summer scene hides a harsh reality. By late September, temperatures plummet and nomadic families must descend to lower elevations before mountain passes become impassable with snow. The lake and surrounding highlands remain completely abandoned through the brutal winter months, frozen and inaccessible until the cycle begins anew with spring thaw. As we leave this highland sanctuary, our journey takes us eastward toward a town where cultures collide and adventurers gather before setting off into some of Kyrgyzstan's most spectacular mountain ranges. A place where Russian gingerbread architecture stands alongside mosques and bazaars, and where hidden hot springs offer respite to weary travelers. What adventures await in this gateway to the wild eastern reaches of Kyrgyzstan? Let's find out as our journey continues. Nestled between the eastern shore of Issyk-Kul and the towering peaks of the central Tian Shan mountains, Karakol serves as the perfect base for exploring Kyrgyzstan's wild eastern frontier. This charming town of wooden cottages and tree-lined streets tells the story of Kyrgyzstan's complex cultural tapestry through its architecture and people. But Karakol's true appeal lies in its vibrant Sunday animal market, one of Central Asia's most authentic trading experiences. Here, farmers and nomads converge to buy and sell livestock, as they have for generations. Unlike tourist-oriented markets, this is a genuine working bazaar where deals are sealed with handshakes and the air fills with the sounds and scents of rural life. Arrive early to witness traders arriving on horseback, leading animals from distant valleys to find new owners. Beyond cultural exploration, Karakol serves primarily as the launching point for adventures into the surrounding wilderness. The town's numerous guest houses fill with trekkers preparing for multi-day expeditions into the Tersky Ala-2 range. Local guides can arrange everything from day hikes to ambitious traverses of passes exceeding 4,000 meters. As evening falls in Karakol, travelers gather in the town's cozy cafes, exchanging stories of mountain encounters while planning tomorrow's adventures. Listen carefully, and you might overhear whispers of a hidden valley just days from town, where ancient forests stand untouched and trails lead to turquoise lakes that few foreigners have ever seen. What secrets await beyond Karakol in the mighty Tian Shan range? And why do experienced travelers fall silent when asked about the pristine wilderness they've discovered there? The answers lie ahead in our journey through Kyrgyzstan's most spectacular mountain landscapes. The name Tian Shan translates to Mountains of Heaven, and standing among these colossal peaks, it's easy to understand why ancient peoples believed they were touching the sky. This massive range forms Kyrgyzstan's eastern border with China, creating a natural fortress of jagged summits, deep valleys and glaciers that have shaped Central Asian history for millennia. Unlike the more famous Himalayas or Alps, the Tian Shan remains refreshingly undeveloped. Here, you won't find cable cars or souvenir shops, just pure wilderness stretching beyond the horizon. This isolation has preserved ecosystems found nowhere else on Earth, from flower-filled alpine meadows to forests of the rare Tian Shan spruce that twist into fantastical shapes from centuries of battling mountain winds. The jewels of the Tian Shan are undoubtedly its glacial lakes. Karakol, sitting at 3,500 meters, dazzles visitors with its otherworldly turquoise waters. Reaching this natural wonder requires a challenging 2-day trek from Karakol, with the final approach crossing a pass that reveals the lake suddenly and spectacularly, its improbable color seeming to glow against the surrounding gray peaks and scree fields. For those seeking the ultimate Tian Shan experience, the trek to Issyk-Kul Glacier delivers both challenge and reward. This massive river of ice stretches over 60 kilometers, making it one of the world's largest non-polar glaciers. Guided expeditions to its base camp provide views of Khan Tengri, whose marble-like peak soars to 7,010 meters. Alpinists consider this one of the world's most beautiful mountains, its summit catching the sunrise with a distinctive pink glow visible from kilometers away. Wildlife enthusiasts might glimpse ibex perched impossibly on sheer cliffs or marmots standing sentinel beside their burrows. The most fortunate might spot the massive silhouette of a lammergeier or bearded vulture with its 3-meter wingspan. These remarkable birds are known for dropping bones from great heights to crack them open for marrow, a behavior observed nowhere else in the avian world. The Tian Shan has shaped human history as profoundly as it has shaped the landscape. These mountains formed a formidable barrier along the ancient Silk Road, forcing trade caravans through high passes that became hotspots for cultural exchange. In hidden valleys, archaeologists continue to discover petroglyphs depicting the animals, hunters, and shamanic practices of ancient peoples who found sustenance in these harsh but beautiful environments. But the most extraordinary secret of the Tian Shan may be a place so recently discovered that it doesn't appear in most guidebooks. A valley where traditional life continues without electricity or modern amenities, yet now welcomes adventure travelers seeking authentic experiences far from established tourist trails. What is this hidden paradise, and why is it rapidly becoming the most talked about destination among adventure travelers? Our journey into Kyrgyzstan's most exciting new destination continues. Just a decade ago, Jyrgalan Valley faced a grim future. This former coal mining settlement teetered on the edge of becoming a ghost town after the collapse of the Soviet Union left its industry abandoned. Today, it represents perhaps the most inspiring transformation story in Kyrgyz tourism, a remote valley reborn as an off-grid trekker's paradise. Located just 60 kilometers east of Karakol, Jyrgalan feels worlds away from even that small town. The single road leading into the valley ends at a village where electricity remains intermittent and cell service non-existent. But this isolation has become Jyrgalan's greatest asset, preserving both natural landscapes and traditional ways of life increasingly rare elsewhere. The valley's rebirth began when a few forward-thinking locals started hosting trekkers in their homes. Word spread quickly about the untouched alpine meadows, crystalline streams, and panoramic mountain ridges accessible directly from the village. Unlike more established trekking regions, here you can hike for days without encountering another soul, following routes marked only by occasional stone cairns. The signature experience in Jyrgalan is the 3-day Issyk-Kul Lakes trek, leading to a series of high-altitude lakes whose colors shift between emerald and sapphire depending on the light. The route crosses flower-carpeted passes where golden eagles soar overhead and shepherds' yurts appear like white dots against the vastness of rolling highland pastures. What makes Jyrgalan especially unique is its community-based tourism model. Every guest house is locally owned, every guide is from the valley, and tourism profits stay within the community rather than flowing to outside companies. When you feast on fresh bread and homemade jam in a family guest house, you're directly supporting the valley's sustainable future. Perhaps the most magical experience in Jyrgalan comes after dark. With no light pollution, the night sky erupts with stars in numbers and clarity that astound visitors from more developed regions. Local guides often arrange nighttime horse rides to viewing points where the Milky Way seems close enough to touch, its reflection dancing on the surface of alpine lakes. As Jyrgalan continues its renaissance, it raises an intriguing question: could this model of community-based, environmentally sustainable tourism represent the future for other remote regions of Kyrgyzstan? The answer may lie in our next destination, a place where ancient forests have sustained local communities for millennia. What secrets do these woodland giants hold, and why do scientists believe they may be the original source of all cultivated walnuts worldwide? Our journey to Kyrgyzstan's remarkable forest sanctuary continues. In southern Kyrgyzstan, where the landscape begins its transition toward the fertile Jyrgalan Valley, lies a place that seems transported from another world entirely. Arslanbob hosts the largest natural growth walnut forest on Earth, a green cathedral where massive trees create a canopy so dense that sunlight reaches the forest floor only in dappled patterns, even at midday. These aren't ordinary woodlands. Scientific research suggests these ancient forests are the genetic birthplace of all cultivated walnuts worldwide. Walking among trees that can live for 1,000 years connects visitors to a living heritage that predates written history. Some individual giants here may have been saplings when Marco Polo passed through these mountains on his famous journey to China. The village of Arslanbob itself cascades down a hillside beneath the forests, its narrow lanes lined with traditional houses whose wooden balconies and intricate carvings reflect the region's abundant timber resources. Unlike northern Kyrgyzstan, this area is predominantly Uzbek rather than Kyrgyz, creating a distinctive cultural landscape where Jyrgalan Valley traditions blend with mountain customs. Local legend claims Alexander the Great discovered these forests during his eastern campaigns, carrying walnuts back to Greece and facilitating their spread throughout Europe. While historians debate this tale, archaeological evidence confirms the forests have been harvested sustainably for millennia, providing both food and livelihood for countless generations. Visiting during the autumn harvest transforms an already magical experience into something extraordinary. Local families spread sheets beneath the massive trees, using long poles to knock ripe nuts from branches too high to reach. The forest floor comes alive with activity as communities work together in traditions passed down through countless generations. Visitors can participate in the harvest and learn the complex process of drying and preserving walnuts for winter use. Beyond the forests, twin waterfalls cascade down the mountainside above the village, creating natural gathering spots where local families picnic on weekends. Simple bridges and viewing platforms allow visitors to feel the refreshing spray from these falls, a welcome respite during hot summer days. For adventurous travelers, local guides lead multi-day horseback expeditions deep into the walnut forests and beyond, following ancient routes used by walnut traders for centuries. These journeys often include overnight stays in yurts established in high meadows above the tree line, offering perspectives on the vast forests impossible to appreciate from within. As you leave Arslanbob, carrying perhaps a small bag of locally harvested walnuts as a souvenir, you might wonder what other natural treasures remain hidden in Kyrgyzstan's less visited regions. The answer awaits in our next destination, a biosphere reserve so pristine and so remote that many Kyrgyz nationals have never visited it themselves. What extraordinary biodiversity thrives in this protected wilderness, and why do biologists from around the world make pilgrimages to study its unique ecosystems? Our journey into one of Central Asia's most remarkable natural sanctuaries continues. Concealed within the western ranges of the Tian Shan lies Kyrgyzstan's best-kept natural secret. Sary Chelek Biosphere Reserve protects a pristine wilderness so diverse in ecosystems that UNESCO designated it a World Heritage Site, yet it remains blissfully unknown to most international travelers. The name translates to yellow bucket, referring to the honey-colored reflections that dance across its main lake in autumn light. Reaching Sary Chelek requires determination. The journey follows increasingly narrower roads winding through apple and apricot orchards, before climbing into mountains where the pavement eventually surrenders to gravel. This difficulty of access has become its salvation, preserving an ecological treasure where over 1,000 plant species and rare wildlife thrive undisturbed. The heart of the reserve is its system of lakes, the largest resembling a fjord with emerald waters cutting deeply between forested mountain walls, rising almost vertically from the shoreline. Unlike the high alpine lakes elsewhere in Kyrgyzstan, Sary Chelek's waters are surrounded by lush forests rather than barren peaks, creating an unusual landscape more reminiscent of Switzerland than Central Asia. The biodiversity here astounds even experienced naturalists. In a single day's hike, you can traverse 5 distinct ecological zones, from semi-desert to alpine meadows. This compression of ecosystems creates extraordinary biological diversity within a relatively small area. Scientists have documented over 160 bird species, 34 mammal species, and some of Central Asia's most diverse butterfly populations within the reserve's boundaries. For visitors, the primary experience involves hiking the well-maintained trail network connecting the lakes. Local guides are essential companions, not just for navigation, but for their encyclopedic knowledge of the reserve's plants and their traditional uses. Many guides come from families who have lived in the region for generations, harvesting medicinal herbs and wild fruits using sustainable practices long before sustainability became a global buzzword. The main lake offers simple boat rides where silence is the primary attraction. Gliding across waters so clear, you can see fish swimming several meters below the surface, with only the sound of oars dipping into water, creates a meditative experience increasingly rare in our noisy world. Scan the shoreline carefully, and you might glimpse the shadowy form of a wild boar coming to drink, or the small dark silhouette of a bear fishing along the lakeshore. Evening in Sary Chelek brings another dimension to the experience. Simple guest houses in the buffer zone outside the core reserve offer homestays where traditional meals feature ingredients harvested from the surrounding wilderness. Local honey, infused with the nectar of wildflowers found nowhere else, provides a literal taste of this unique ecosystem. As we conclude our practical guidance, one question remains. Beyond the spectacular landscapes and authentic cultural experiences, what intangible essence makes Kyrgyzstan so profoundly affecting for those who visit? What spirit lives in these mountains that transforms ordinary travelers into passionate advocates for this little-known nation? Our final chapter explores the soul of Kyrgyzstan and the transformative power of experiencing one of the world's last truly authentic destinations. What defines the soul of a nation? In Kyrgyzstan, it manifests in a concept central to national identity yet challenging to translate. Kokmon-ru, the nomadic spirit, permeates every aspect of Kyrgyz life, from hospitality traditions to the profound relationship with the natural world. This spirit doesn't just survive in Kyrgyzstan, it thrives, offering visitors glimpses of a worldview increasingly rare in our standardized global culture. The landscapes we've explored represent more than scenic backdrops. For Kyrgyz people, these mountains, lakes, and valleys are infused with spiritual significance. Ancient petroglyphs carved into remote rock faces tell stories of ancestors who viewed these landscapes as living entities rather than resources to be exploited. This deep connection between people and place creates the authentic experiences that affect travelers so profoundly. Kyrgyzstan's greatest treasure may be this authenticity. Unlike destinations where tourism infrastructure creates artificial experiences, interactions here remain genuine. When a nomadic family welcomes you into their yurt, they're not performing cultural traditions for visitors, but sharing their actual daily life. The kumis you sip, the bread you break together, the stories exchanged around evening fires, these moments happen whether tourists arrive or not. This authenticity extends to Kyrgyzstan's approach to tourism development. Rather than rushing to build resorts and standardized experiences, communities like Jyrgalan and Arslanbob are creating tourism models that preserve traditions while providing sustainable livelihoods. By choosing these community-based experiences, travelers become partners in conservation rather than mere consumers of experiences. As our journey concludes, we must acknowledge that we've merely scratched the surface of what Kyrgyzstan offers. Countless valleys remain unexplored by outside visitors. Ancient sites still await proper archaeological investigation. Traditions passed orally through generations continue in remote communities, rarely visited by foreigners. The country represents not just a destination but a frontier for those seeking experiences increasingly scarce in our homogenized world. Perhaps the most telling evidence of Kyrgyzstan's impact lies in how travelers speak about their experiences. They rarely mention specific sites or activities. Instead, they describe feelings, the expansiveness triggered by standing alone in vast landscapes, the connection felt while sharing meals with nomadic families, the shift in perspective that occurs when modern complications fall away. These intangible aspects create the passionate advocates who return home with stories that inspire others to discover Kyrgyzstan for themselves. For those watching this who feel called to experience these wonders firsthand, remember that the journey matters as much as the destination. Approach Kyrgyzstan with openness, patience, and respect for traditions that have sustained these mountain communities for millennia. The rewards will extend far beyond photographs or souvenirs, potentially changing how you view your place in the world and your relationship with the natural environment. Our exploration of Kyrgyzstan ends here, but countless adventures await in this remarkable corner of Central Asia. Which destination calls to you most strongly? What aspects of nomadic culture intrigue you most deeply? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to join us on our next journey to the world's most extraordinary destinations. Until then, safe travels, and may the nomadic spirit inspire your own voyages of discovery.